Welcome back to We Take the Stairs. This is season 3, episode 1, and we're really excited to be here. We have a wonderful guest, and of course we have,
Jackson.
and our guest is
Kenny.
So thank you so much for joining us today. So I didn't prepare scripture because I was hoping one of you guys would have a good one, and at any point in time, just absolutely, when you feel the Spirit, say it. But what I'd like to do today, if you don't mind, is to sort of come together and give a good voice to men. So I know that sounds a little bit strange. Over the past few seasons and over the episodes that we've done, my original reason for wanting to do the podcast has sort of segued into what I really feel is what I'm being led to do. I am a mom of 2 teenage boys. I've said that a number of times on our episodes, but for you, I'm telling you this, Kenny.
Yeah.
And I have had a unique perspective in raising them without a very strong male figure in their life. And because of that, I feel that I have been able to see the plight of young men in today's world. So today, I actually want to dedicate to trying to figure out what we feel are the major issues that young men are facing in today's world, and how we might be able to lift them up, to be able to become, well, the leaders of their homes, or just of their own lives in a positive way, and to journey with Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just going to open it up to you guys and hope to have a good organic conversation unfold.
Yeah.
Because men deserve a voice, period.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, let me pray for us.
Thank you.
Before we get going.
Thank you.
Holy Spirit, I just invite you into this conversation. I thank you for all the wisdom that you provide for us. And we just ask that you give us the wisdom and the words that you want us to speak on today, that you want us to share so that people can receive what you have for them, so that boys coming into manhood can have an idea, a path, a light to see where they can go and who they are and who they belong to, Lord. I pray that they realize their identity in you as a son, and that there is hope, that there is a plan, that there is a purpose, that there is an adventure that awaits them, that there is a beauty to rescue, and that there's a battle to fight. So I just thank you for this time together, and I just surrender it to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have a lead question you want to start us off with?
Sure. I mean, I have so many questions. Okay, I will say that I have seen over the past decade, maybe because my eyes were open differently as the mom of having boys, but I've seen and just very much feel that within their homes, men are having to take a back seat sometimes in their own homes in modern society. And they are in favor of keeping the peace, not allowing their voices to be heard in this world. And often that is a cause of conflict in the home, right? Because then the woman is like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you being this way? And as a woman, I've had to get real with myself and say, maybe I'm not providing the right environment. And so I went on a quest because I wanted to be the very best mom that I could be. I'm a perfectionist. It's annoying, but it's true. And I want to be, even though I'm not perfect, I want to be the very best that I can be as a mother for those 2 boys, because that's what they deserve. So I was trying to figure out why the people in my life so easily walked away from my sons, because it was their father, or it was somebody who chose to be in a role in their life, and it was just so easy to shirk that responsibility. What is happening with men? What is the messaging that we're sending to men that makes them feel so disposable?
Yeah.
Why do you feel that men can just so easily back away from something.
Mhm.
What is going on?
Yeah. There's a lot of the times growing up, there's always this escape now where if something gets hard, you can always quit, right? You could start a marriage. Who can finish a marriage? You could start this project. You could start this career. Who's going to finish? And a lot of men growing up, a lot of boys growing up are being coddled, I believe. We fight for third, second place trophies. They give those out. Participation awards. There hasn't been as much grit instilled into a young boy to have him believe that he can finish what he started. That confidence to follow through, And that lack of follow through over time starts to build this passivity in a man, in a young boy that grows up to be in a man's body, So that's just one of the reasons, he didn't know what his identity was, or that he could finish something that he started, or that he has what it takes, that he can follow through, or there's men around him in his life telling him, no, you could do this. I believe in you. Instead, there's just this quiet desperation. There's this quiet isolation that a lot of fathers live in, a lot of men just live in, and they don't share that with anybody. They're not doing life with one another, and they don't feel like they have something that they can offer that's valuable. But they do have something that they can offer, and that's their strength that God has given them, that they can only give by them receiving from the Father themselves. So a lot of men just don't finish anymore. They give up so easily. They were never trained or discipled to do that. That's like one of the reasons, that I've seen in young boys. There's a point in time where a father has to step in a child's life. The mother can't coddle them anymore, She's going to have to let go. Some moms don't let go. They don't. But it's up to the dad to step into those moments. Like, no, I'm going to take you now. I have to teach you how to be a man. Come see what I do. Jesus said, follow me and you'll see. He can't just tell them. They have to see it firsthand. We can read all the books that we want in the world, but without real life experiences, it's not going to really work out, So we can read in social media how to be a man, how to do this, but until a father figure steps in for these young boys and these young teenagers to show them the way, then that passivity, the isolation, giving up will continue for generations. And that may have happened to some of their fathers growing up as well. It could be a generational thing from what they learned growing up. This is what I know how to do. So that's just one of the reasons I've seen why fathers step out.
Wow.
What was your experience with your father?
So honestly, I'm very blessed. My parents are still married. I had a great father, I didn't grow up in a Christian home though. So there was different worldviews that led me to do things in school, like be sexually promiscuous or do some partying and everything like that. And that was kind of encouraged. So, but my dad at the same time was there for me. He worked a lot. I didn't always have the time in the beginning of my life to see him as much as I wanted to, but I believe he was trying his best. He never left my life. He never left my mom. He always showed up to the games, and he's always been a very stable person. And I still have a great relationship with my dad. And at the same time, I still needed saving, because there was still this hole in my heart. There's still this hole in my heart that I needed to be filled that he couldn't fulfill,
Right.
And that's when I came to the end of myself at 19, gave my life to the Lord, and started experiencing the first start of my journey of what true fatherhood is, true sonship is, and being taken in by brothers, being taken in and shown what it looks like to be a godly man, I stopped feeling alone. I started feeling alive, going on to this journey. But with my dad, he did all that he knew how to do, and he did, not trying to compare, but he did better than most stories I've heard. So like when I hear stories, I'm like, dang, I didn't really have it bad. And I grew up, everything was taken care of. He worked hard, and I took a lot from that, work ethic. I see myself now when I talk to my wife. She's like, "Oh, you sound just like George." That's my dad's name. I'm like, "Oh wow, I do." That like caught me off guard, because I didn't necessarily do what he says. I do what he did, because he showed the example. Children follow example more than following your words. So that seeped into me over time. And areas, do I wish I had more time with him? Yes. Do I wish he may have showed me more things of how to be more competent in certain areas? Yeah. But I've learned to let that part go and forgive and know that, okay, he did try his best. And he was overall a pretty good dad. Amazing dad, honestly. So
Okay, so what's interesting is you've painted a picture of a man who stuck around,
yes.
right? Who
Yeah.
fulfilled his promise to your mother and to you when he had you.
Yeah.
So many women today don't have men who live up to what they say they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then as women, we begin a cycle of trying to, I'm just going to say survive.
Yeah.
Because once you have a child, it's not just you anymore. It's you and your child or children.
Yeah.
And you then have to try to find, if you can, in your mind, you think anyway, that you need to find a man in their life to raise them. And in truth, you do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a husband, I have to say. You could, be involved in a church community, but for people who are secular and not involved, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Or you don't feel that. It's not something that you do.
Yeah.
What about the single moms? What about the boys who are shown that picture of my dad left
Yeah.
and he walked out
Yeah.
and that's what I'm going to do?
Right.
What do you think makes or breaks a man that's happened to from that pattern? How can you as a man, when you've gone through something like that and that's the only thing you know or the only message you've received, how can you change that within yourself?
Yeah. I see that in a lot of my friends, that their fathers did leave their life or their parents did divorce. And I was fortunate enough not to experience that, but when that does happen, they think, am I not enough?
Yeah.
Was I not enough? Was it my fault that this person left? No, it wasn't their fault. And yes, they are enough. And the only way I truly see it, where that generational thing stops happening, is when they truly embrace Christ, when they truly embrace him, because he's the only one that can heal those broken areas in someone's heart. Because at the end of the day, our parents are just our earthly parents, but we have a father in heaven. We have a father.
Yeah.
And regardless if you grow up in a separated home or not, you still have to come to the end of yourself to experience that true freedom. And I had to find that freedom, and they have to find that freedom, but it's just a little differently, Are they enough? I wasn't shown how to be a father, but then there needs to be other men in their life as well. Who are they going to be around? Who is going to call them up to a higher standard of living, So, and I've seen men break free from that, like, okay, father left. Am I enough? A lot of healing has to go through, and realizing, no, my father is in heaven. My father's Jesus, and he's there for me, and he's never left me. And that truth has to become louder in their life and in their mind and their heart more than what happened in the natural.
Right. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's true. I mean, faith is something that we all have to come to, we all have to have, or we choose not to. That you mentioned the empty space, sort of a void that can't
Yeah.
be filled until the rightful owner of that void
Yeah.
fills you, right?
Right.
And so I think we all have that. That's purposeful. God gives that to us. That's where he dwells within us. That's
Yeah.
where the Holy Spirit comes in. I've had, that happen to me too.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really good point. We all have a choice. Are we going to continue to let the pain eat away at us, or are we going to allow God into our life?
Yeah.
Jackson, do you have any thoughts here? About the way that the messaging to men is affecting them, and the difficulties around being a man today are presenting.
No, I don't have too much to say on that exact question, but the thing that came to mind was Jeremiah 1, where the Lord speaks to Jeremiah, "You are a son, and I have set you apart, and you have a purpose, and I've called you to be a prophet." And it's actually my fiance's dad who pointed that out to me and taught me about the scripture, that the Lord, as our Heavenly Father, calls us by name, sets us apart before birth to be different, and calls us into purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Identity and purpose. If we're talking about two things that young men are missing in fatherless homes, it's identity and purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what we see as a result of it. And I think what happens next in the first chapter is extremely important, which is Jeremiah's response to him saying that was, I can't go speak to people on this. No, who am I to go do that? And it took a loving father to step in and say, hey, I'm going to give you the words. You are called to this. And when it's time to speak, you'll speak, which is really hard, because if you have a mother, and I'm processing this sort of out loud, but if you have a mother that steps in and goes, well, I'm going to be that authoritative masculine, hey son, no, this is who you are, you need to go do it, in this bold way, then you'll remove yourself in time from being the safe place that those boys or women can go to. So it's hard to be both all the time. And I think you relate with that and have a lot of authority being able to speak to what the result of that is when all you're trying to do is the best that you can. But in that scenario, in that moment, it was loving correction from a father of, hey, I know you're worried. I get it. It's kind of scary to be called into, you're going to be a straight A student or a baseball player, right? And you're going to make it to the tournament. Whatever that standard is that today we're handing out participation trophies for, it takes a father to come in and go, hey, I don't care. I get how you're feeling. Take a moment. I understand how you're feeling. Thank you. You're valid, but we're going to the mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
And you're good enough to do it.
Yeah.
And your identity is not defined by it, which are two very hard things to come across. And that's why we as a society get so confused when we're looking at social media or seeing success when it's all different and the word of God doesn't change.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you actually said that. As a mom, pretty much by myself, raising my sons, I've had to play both mom and dad. And I have a good friend, John, who was actually on one of the episodes, and he essentially raises his daughter alone. And when that happens and your partner is either gone or they can't be there presently or they have just checked out or left, you have to take on a very unnatural role.
Yeah.
And that is very hard. And I've had a lot of conflict, especially with my oldest son, who, says he has basically raised himself as a man to become a man. And one day, I remember that hurt my feelings so badly. And he is not overly graceful because there's still anger. And even though he knows Jesus, he doesn't yet, I don't think, embrace the love of Jesus. I don't think he's quite come to that yet. And I remember he said to me, I don't care. You could have been 1.5 parents. You're not a dad. You can't be a man. And I didn't have a man to show me. And that was hard. I mean, that was really hard because it doesn't matter how much I try. And I try every day and every millisecond of every day to be everything they need. And I can't. I can't be a man. I don't know what it's like to be a man. I can't take him to the mountaintop. And if I do, it's not me he wants. He wants his earthly father to show him that. I'm very grateful that God found him and is working in his life. And it's extremely important to me that he has the love of God. But where are these men that are assisting with making children, right? I mean, you can't not know that these things happen after a certain age, biology, we've all taken it, okay? So we know where are they? Why are they able to check out to the point where you can just abandon your child? We need men. And that truly is not the message that we're sending. And you can be as mad as you want as a woman at me, I'll take it. But feminism created a movement that started to say, I can do this on my own. And I have said it before, you can, but you shouldn't. And the one that's going to hurt is the child or the children. And I am living proof of this in my home. My boys need a strong man, and they crave that, direction in their life. So I don't know. I had to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm a nerd. I read. I like to investigate. I had to figure out, and I still have to figure out why this is happening. Why can men so easily let go when in truth they're vital to the home? I need a strong man. I sit with Jackson, okay? We sit together, and he is my podcast person. We sit down every week. And he, in some ways, leads our podcast. I will naturally defer to him because I admire his leadership. That's okay. He's my studio manager. He's my co-host. But I respect him enough to understand that he has a leadership role that I don't fill. And that's just the honest to goodness truth. And if that makes me like anti-feminist, I'm sorry. I believe in women's rights. I believe in women's place in the world, but I also think that can't come at the expense of men. And I feel that it has. And I'm actually pretty annoyed about it, as you can see. I'm very passionate about it because we need men. And they feel unneeded. And I don't know how to help this.
I think one of the ways you help it is just to be the woman that God has called you to be. And at the same time, men have just taken, like you said, this back seat, and Jackson said earlier, it's an identity issue, where identity is just plastered all around, where you could be anything you want nowadays. You could be a male, you could be a female, you could be a giraffe, you could be a zebra, you could be transgender, you could be gay, homophobic, all these things. And that's a sin issue, that's a heart issue, and there's a lot of confusion now, and boys are not seeing what that example is and that message is. You said the message has been saying, no, women could be the boss or this and that. But it all starts in the home. What do they have access to? What are they being fed? What are they being shown as that example? And yes, we do need men. I believe in that circle. I'm sure we've all saw that picture where hard times create strong men. Strong men create good good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times, and the cycle repeats itself. So during easy times, like we have in America, we have to, as men, submit ourselves to a process of dying to yourself and doing hard things. Part of what I do with some buddies, we gather on the beach every month to do hard things together, because men need that.
Yeah.
Men need to test themselves. Men need to do life together. We had someone come on the beach and we jump in the water afterwards, and they're like, oh, I don't remember ever doing this before. I'm like, what guy? Like,
You live in Florida.
you live in Florida, but like,
Yeah.
when's the last time this person, he wasn't a believer, when's the last time this person actually did a workout on the beach with his buddies, started laughing, having a good time, and jumped in the ocean together?
Right.
When's the last time they felt that alive? And
But isn't it,
culture,
oh, sorry. Yeah. So I bet you're about to say, isn't it interesting though that the things that men think that they're supposed to go to, let's go with like, I'm sorry, strip clubs, sex clubs, things that are supposed to be alluring, women at a concert or in a club taking off their clothes. I remember I'm from Oklahoma. So when I first moved here, going
culture
to,
shock.
I went to a club with some friends and it was an
People weren't wearing
underage club.
clothes.
Holy cow, these girls were on the countertop getting naked. And I was like, I went out, I waited for my friends, I sat on the curb. It wasn't right for me. I grew up in middle America. I was
Yeah.
like, it wasn't right. I
Bible
was like,
Belt.
holy cow. God bless them if that's what they want to do. That I am not judging, but I will tell you, it is very different what culture says is interesting versus what is truly fulfilling.
Yeah.
I watched my youngest son struggle with like social media, and he just told me today, he's like, I've decided I'm turning off social media on my phone from 3:15 until 6 a.m. the next morning. And I said, I mean, I'm really happy for you, I respect it, but why? And he was like, I don't know, it just doesn't make me a better person. I think instinctively you guys know this, but I'm not sure, again, the messaging to men, like, if you're a man, you're gonna like be on a motorcycle and like go into the strip clubs and playing pool. And like that's what you see depicted on TV much of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's what makes you a man. You can be a man who does that, but I happen to think it's great that guys get together and like work out and jump in the ocean and just be dudes.
Yeah.
Just be.
Well, there's like this in Hollywood, they portray always this lone wolf mentality. I'm sure we've all heard that.
Yeah.
Like, James Bond, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's cool, but that's not the definition of a man. Somebody to be alone and fighting this battle alone. It's one of the biggest lies, I believe, in our culture, that, oh no, to be a man is to do X, Y, and Z. Meaning you're identified by what you do. No, you're identified by who he says you are.
Right.
Like your identity stems from Jesus, not by riding the motorcycle, not by going to strip clubs, not by making the most money. And we identify our successes or how many women you get. That was like my problem growing up. Like, oh, I'm only as valuable as a man if like this girl likes me or not, and or me playing sports, like playing basketball was my thing. Like I put my identity in that, like how well I did in there. So culture has this way of like portraying this lone wolf. Like, no, a man is X, Y, and Z, but that couldn't be further from the truth. God said it's not good for man to be alone. And he said that. Adam was with God, and he still said it's not good for him to be alone. So it's important that true masculinity is lived with other men, lived with other brothers, and being sharpened. And only masculinity is bestowed. You can't get it from a woman, can't get it from your mom. Masculinity bestows masculinity. And I've done the strip clubs, I've done the partying. That stuff just left me more empty every single time. So that was my 18th birthday gift. That. And I was like, wow, great job. Like this, oh, I did that. But it was just so twisted. And that's why I realized how I became emptier. I'm like, that stuff doesn't fulfill me. I was never meant to see women at display on social media that much exposure of that.
Yeah.
You know, why we have so much exposure to bad news. Back in the days, like you'd get 8 months of bad news. Now you get it all in 2 days or a day.
Right.
We're not meant to be seeing so much like that.
Right.
So easy.
Well, if you're scared and they can control you,
Mm-hmm.
then they can move you on the chessboard wherever they want.
Yeah.
And the people who subscribe constantly to that fear are easily controlled. And of course, because we're not, our brains aren't wired to
Yeah.
be scared,
Yeah.
you know, and when we are, we fight or flight.
Yeah.
You said something interesting and then it clicked in my head. So, why do you think that if men spend time together, it is seen differently than if women spend time together in a group? For example, my younger son, you know, he'll be like, well, you know, I can't hang out too much with like this, you know, on my own and because they'll think I'm gay.
Yeah. Right.
And I am not knocking the homosexual community. I don't want to get into that. That
don't have
is
to be
between you and
politically
God. That
correct.
has nothing to do with it. I want to know I'm really want to investigate the double standards. If
Yeah.
a man is walking down the street with his friend, or if two guys are working out on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Or if two cute, like, you know, ladies are doing volleyball and they're playing on the beach, you know, people are going to look at that different.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's because of that stereotype,
Yeah.
that lone wolf stereotype. If a man is with another man, it's got a negative and slightly skewed connotation, whereas if a woman is alone, that's weird, but if she's with another woman, it's okay.
Right.
Those are the kinds of things we have to stop.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What do you got? What do you got, Jackson?
I don't know how much this is actually going to go with what you're saying.
Okay. I like side quests.
But a lot of my story was pretty severe bullying. So you have to hear my heart when I say, like, that's not okay. But I think there is an issue with people being too soft today and not being able to receive correction, which I was just talking to a friend, Joel, about Philippians. He was in awe of reading Philippians, and Paul in the Bible, who was Saul, who persecuted and killed Christians, is now with Christ, correcting people with very abrasive, rude, and aggressive language that today people would not like. But it was received with grace, actions changed, and lives were transformed. And today it's like, hey, if someone, you know, walks by and calls Kenny gay for being shirtless working out on the beach, Kenny's gonna go file a lawsuit and sue me for
Defamation of
$69.
character or something.
Hate
Right.
speech.
hate speech,
Right.
whatever. It's like there's this is where I wasn't gonna go, but there's like a guy I listened to where he's like, we need to bring back the bullying.
My older son says that, and he was bullied.
I'm saying that, and again, there's a difference between being aggressive, threatening,
Right.
you know, calling names with a, like, I want to tear you down.
Malicious intent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's an aspect where, like, boys need to be slapped around a little bit, whether it's by a girl or guy. They need a little slapping around. But the issue is when they get slapped around, who are they going to? Who's leading them? What are the voices that are getting in? Because it's not when you feel like everything is going well that you go to someone and you really want to hear advice. It's when you don't know what to do. It's when you're in pain. It's when there's a problem. So that's why we see so many times, I guess I was on the receiving end of this as a young boy. My mom would say, don't do this. I'm doing pretty good right now. Who are you to tell me what to do? But once I hit a wall, once I didn't know what to do, it was like I was desperate.
Yeah.
I was desperate, and it needs to be the right person. And that's, I think, when the messaging gets wrong, there becomes a cycle of bad messaging. There's a lot there. But
I'm laughing because, so, you know, have you watched that cute little monkey who was like a bit like pushed away by his mother. Punch. Oh my
No.
gosh.
This just sounds sad.
Okay, so it's so cute. So there is usually an instinct in a mom that is going to be like, that's why we have like the term mama bear, or like, we've got like a mother lioness. So this poor little monkey has like taken the world by storm because he was so cute, and then he was given this stuffed animal because his mom pushed him away and he needed love. And we're watching this play out. It's at some zoo in Asia, and like I'm crying, and people are really, I mean, I do, because like the plight of like anything in pain really hurts me. But anyway, I digress a little bit, but what to sort of loop it back to your story is you do need the right person, because the instinct of a mother is not going to help her son in a bullying situation. I know this firsthand. I'm sorry, Daniel and David. I am the one they had to go to. And they should have been able to go to their dad and him be like, listen, son, this isn't good, punch him back or whatever. I went and I yelled at the kid.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to stop, because my son was
fought
upset.
the battle for him.
I did. I couldn't help it. I did. I take over, and that's just, you can't help it as a mom. That is your job. The job of a man is to be like, honey, I got this, right? Like, I've got this, with a daughter or a son, because then the father is showing the daughter, hey, this is what you deserve. You deserve a man who's going to protect you, just like I have protected you. And the son deserves to learn how to be a protector and know how to fight his own battles. Mothers are not supposed to fight the battles for their children. They become these helicopter parents, and they're trying to avoid it, but that's what we do. That's what women are supposed to do, and that's why men are critical, and that's why we have a weak society. I'm sorry. We have a weak society because men are not in the home. And again, women can do it. Yes, I am doing it. There are so many holes in my parenting because I needed their father in the picture, and he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I'm so filled with hope when I look at you, because you have a newborn, and I look at you because I hope you're going to have children, and you guys are going to do it the right way. But there's so many young men who are raised without a father figure, and they feel, like you said before, not enough.
Mm-hmm.
We have to figure this out. We have to. They have to find a place that they belong, and they have to be led to this book, because this is the only answer. And that's just the honest to goodness truth for all of us. It's our only hope. But until they open the book, we have to change, if we can, as a society, the way that men are just walking away.
I brought up a memory when you said, when you yelled at the kid. Because
Sorry.
there's like, oh, don't you say that to my son. Whenever I would get bullied or somebody said something nasty to me growing up, it's just so crazy to think about how my parents responded when I told them these things. My mom's like, oh, run away. Go tell the teacher. Like, she's such self-preservation, like, oh, I don't want anything to happen to you. And my dad's like, no, hit him back. And they get in these arguments in front of me. And then, like, eventually when one person leaves or not, if it's just my dad, he's like, Kenny, just hit him.
Listen to me.
Just hit him. Like, all right. And then my dad leaves. My mom's like, hey, don't listen to him. Just run away and tell the teacher. And I'm like, okay. And she would, like, try to ingrain that in my head.
Yeah.
Go, just run away. Just run away. And, I was reading, Wild at Heart, one of my favorite books by John Eldridge. His son was in a situation where he's being bullied, and he's like about 6 years old, 7 years old maybe, and he says, son, like, look at me for a second. If he touches you again, I want you to hone in on what I'm saying. I want you to make a fist, and I want you to punch him in the face as hard as you can. So it's just the tonality of how you say that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If you're being bullied, a son, that's a moment for a son, whether you're going to masculate him a little bit or demasculate him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he has in him yet. because mama bear is protecting him all the time.
Yeah.
Or dad is just passive and letting his wife run amok on him and the family. But that's a defining moment for a child, whether he's going to grow up to walk in confidence and knowing that he's able to defend himself. I have a mentor. He just posted something recently where the boy, you don't want the boy's bully to be afraid of the principal. You want the bully to be afraid of the boy.
Right.
He wants to know, no, this bully, I don't want to feel like I have to go to the teacher and have this bully be afraid of the teacher on my behalf or my parent on my behalf. He wants to know, no, I'm respected. That bully fears me. That bully knows not to cross the line because I draw a line in the sand. And when those battles, like you said, are being fought for these boys, then you're creating passivity and reliance and dependence, because the goal for a father and the parents is to equip your son, to equip your children, because you're not going to escape the realities of this harsh world.
No.
You're not going to escape the realities of attacks coming our way. No, I want to equip you so that you're able to handle this stuff on your own.
That's interesting that you say that. So my son is not passive. Neither of them are passive.
That's great.
The older one, though, the way he's come about it has been in a sort of a broken manner because, life is broken. So he has a group of guy friends and they all like pummel each other.
That's awesome.
Or they all race cars.
Great.
But, right, exactly. So eventually guys do work together to teach each other. Hey, I think guys should be guys.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell him to.
No, it's
jump-
hard.
The mama.
However,
in you
that's
is what
right.
I'm
Honey,
laughing
I
at.
am a total mama bear, but I do know I am not a hover parent. My son has been very effective in his communication because unfairly he's had to sort of both of them be, when you're kind of a single mom, it's a very strange dynamic in the house with the boys. They become partners to you, fair or not. It just is because you don't have a man to consult.
Yeah.
So you're being a guy and you're being a mom and it's unnatural. And, so then they eventually grow into rusty, messy young men until they, figure it out. Well, both of mine are very outspoken and they both, because I welcome that, right? Like I want them to speak to me. And the way they come about it, and I think another huge part of society that is going wrong because fathers are gone is because men also need belonging, they find gangs or groups of other boys who are misfits or up to no good. Or let's say there's a group of kids who are all smoking pot because there's trouble in the home. It's okay, Jackson. We've all had our time doing our things. And these people all come together and they make even more of a mess, right? Trying to ease the pain or fill that void that's empty. And much of our society is filled with young men who are violent, depressed, and unled.
Yeah. I like how you brought up gangs and things like that, because every man wants like a sense of belonging,
Right.
right? We all want this sense of belonging in this mission, and gangs provide that.
Yeah.
Gangs provide this brotherhood, this family, and this mission that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, when I'm off mission, things start to go sideways in my life. Why am I pissed off? Why am I like getting bitter? Why am I being angry? I'm like just so upset I'm like, why? It's when I'm off mission, because we're meant to be on a mission, to do battle, to do life, and to do it together. So the enemy always offers a counterfeit to God's design and plan.
Oof, that's true.
There's always a counterfeit. God has an intention for you, but the enemy has an intention for you too. And it's a counterfeit of what God has. So gangs is a counterfeit of what the family of brotherhood and the family of God should look like. They do the enemy's bidding, but there's God's way of doing things. So men are meant to do life with one another. There's that desire to do life with one another. Like I want to see my friends all the time, my male friends all the time. I am encouraged. I feel alive. I feel purposeful.
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Military offers the same thing if you think
Exactly.
about it. You know,
And
a
a lot
brotherhood.
of you're not going to really experience the full extent of that in a coffee shop, you know? Just is what it is. Like
No.
they have its place. They have its place. Like, oh yeah, like let's meet up for coffee. I'm like, okay, well, let's do something. you know?
Yeah.
You and in the military, like a lot of soldiers' favorite time of their life was actually during the war when they're in the bunker with their buddies with gunfire over them. Why is that? How did those bonds that formed? They embraced the suck together. They embraced adversity together, and men doing that together, embracing hard times together, creates such a bond that you can't do it in a coffee shop or a bookstore, you know?
And I don't want to be rude, and I definitely don't want to discount women because I'm a woman, but you can't do it with women either.
No.
You need each other. That's interesting because women do that. We like get together 4 or 5 girls, and I don't do this, but other women do this. They get together 4 or 5 girls and they go on like a trip. And guys will go on a trip, but usually they get up to no good. Like, you know, those movies, but they're really funny. They take place in Las Vegas. Bradley Cooper's in them. Hangover, great movies, right? But totally
So funny.
they get up to shenanigans. So better to go work out on the beach and have a swim. But like they need positive guy stuff.
Yeah. What are you channeling that to? You know, like where, like this, I was shooting, I was like at my parents' house, like a few years ago, these kids came up to me, these 12-year-olds, and me growing up, I was ding dong ditching, I was egging people's houses, I was egging people's cars, I was
Did you do
destructive.
toilet papering?
I didn't do TP.
That was in my generation. We did a lot of
Did that for
TP.
sporting events.
Yeah.
Like if you won a tournament or a new player got on a
Oh,
team, they would wreck your house.
I guess after COVID,
Initiation.
toilet paper became such a
Yeah.
commodity. No one
was a
messes with it
commodity.
again. Okay.
But I was
It's like that's a $500.
That's right. No way. Keep the toilet paper.
oh man, pandemic, I need to wipe my butt. Like,
Yeah.
that's the main thing you need, you know? What about water?
That's great.
But yeah, I was doing that stuff, but it was just really a misplace of guidance or a misplace of fulfillment and adventure that I was looking for, seeking, you know?
Sure.
Like, why did I do those things? And these kids came up to me and they're like, hey, because they saw me outside, they're like, would you care if we ding dong ditch around here? And I'm like, and it was just like this smaller kid with this bigger friend. And I just had a flashback because who I did that with was a bigger friend of mine. You know, I'm like, wow, I'm looking at myself at this moment. I'm like, they didn't know they were getting ready to hear me lecture them or just share this story. I'm
That
like,
paternal instinct.
yeah, I'm
kicked in.
like, I get it. Why you want to do that? But do you need to do that? I think you should. I think there's more adventure found with you elsewhere, you know? Like learn how to fight, learn how to defend yourself, learn how to, you know, work hard and like live this battle, you know? I think there's more rush doing combat sports than egging somebody's house. And it's very humbling, you know? I started jujitsu like a few years ago and wow, what a rush that is, you know?
Yeah.
What, like, to learn, it's just like, where are you going to channel? Because every boy is going to want to do something. They're up to something, right? They want to do something crazy, but you got to channel it for good. You know, I think God is not safe, but he's good. And I shared this the other day with somebody in C.S. Lewis' book, Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
When Susan finds out that Aslan is a lion, her first immediate response was fear. And is he safe? Right. That was the question. Is he safe? And the beaver's like, safe? Who said anything about safe? But he is good. So boys are told to play it safe all the time, but we have this masculine gift to be dangerous in a good way, you know? Be absolute capable of great violence if needed to protect the ones that you love, you know, only in the service of other people, you know? And I heard this the other day, I shared it the other day. Our masculine nature is like a fire, right? A fire has the ability, when not in control, to destroy, to cause death and havoc everywhere else. But a fire that's weak leaves people cold, leaves people in the dark, and leaves people starving, and people still die. But a fire under control provides warmth, it provides light, and it provides food for people can able to stay warm and be together. That's what meekness is in the Bible. Meekness is not weakness.
Right.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, Matthew 5. I was sharing that meaning of meek in the Greek means praus. Praus. We probably skim that over sometimes, what meekness is. If it looks like, it's whatever, it's like to be nice or something. But it's not weakness, it's the complete opposite.
Right.
It was created in the Greek armies for a horse. They'll capture wild horses in the intention to train them up to be war horses. Some horses wouldn't make it. They'd just continue doing like regular labor work, or some will die. But once a wild horse was ready to be a war horse, that they called that praus, which means meek. Now, that didn't take away that this horse had strength, had, a wild side to it, but this horse now was meek. It was able to go into gunfire, into cannon fire, under control, stop at a whisper. It had power now under authority. It had strength under control. So that's what meekness is. And when you have that fire, that masculine fire, why can it be toxic? Because there's no control for it.
Right.
Why is it weak? Because they weren't told that they have what it takes, or that they have this strength. So it's it's either going to egg houses, or it's either going to learn to protect yourself. You know what I mean? As a child.
Yeah.
So you want boys to get into quote unquote shenanigans, but the good kind of shenanigans.
Right.
That speak to their masculine soul, to their boy soul. So
That's really, really well put.
yeah.
No, that's very helpful. In our last season, we talked about how season 1, we talked about and we examined how the education system is not built for boys.
Oh, yeah.
How boys are told to sit down, be quiet. Conflict is usually, I'm going to go with like 80%. It was something like that. But boys were the insiders of the conflict. Well, you can't tell a guy who's going through testosterone surges, sit down, shut up, and read a book.
Yeah.
You also can't not listen. I notice in both of my kids' schools, really interesting happenings. This is when mom does come out, but quietly, and they don't know. Whatever the girl says these days goes. If he did this or he said this, it doesn't really matter. She said this. I'm sorry, no. That's not okay. Yes, there have been guys who've bent the truth, but my goodness, there's plenty of girls who've bent the truth too.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that they're not being listened to, that their needs are not being met, they're just not being set up for success, period. So it's a whole societal change that needs to take place. And we have to start viewing men as different than women.
Yeah.
They're different. We are not the same. We are the same important, but we have strengths and we have areas of improvement. We have different hormones. I'm so sorry. There's men and there's women. There's hormones that are for women. That's estrogen. There's hormones that are for men. That's testosterone. I get that there are people who may think that they feel that way. Again, I'm not arguing this on that podcast. I'm really apolitical. That is up to you and yourself. But I don't think that we're meeting the needs of young men, because all we're really doing is trying to shut them up and get them through school.
Yeah.
And I really think that we need an overhaul. We need a whole movement for men, because we're not examining these things.
Yeah. Where I see what you brought up in the education, right? I see that in the churches too.
Okay.
That, especially the church here in America, that most churches are set up for women. Guys come in, sit in the pews.
It's true.
Volunteer for coffee,
Sing the feminine songs.
Sing the feminine songs, and it's the same thing, and guys meet up every Sunday. They're like, how's your week? Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was good. Hanging in there, brother. Hanging in there, just trying to get by.
How the kids?
Oh,
Good.
they're great. They're great.
Good.
Where is the aliveness,
And so what would that church look like to you that was good for men?
I love what Joby Martin does. He's a pastor. I always get it confused with Philip Anthony Mitchell's church
It
name.
was good.
But Joby, he says, we do 6 a.m., black coffee and Bibles. That's it. That's it. It's not.
Their church,
Hey,
that's like,
He God put it on his heart to start a men's group
yeah.
inside of the church, and it was 6 a.m., black coffee, Bibles. Wake up early, get yourself going, right? And it's not, here's how my guess the female approach would be. Hey, let's get together and let's like talk about our weeks, see how we're doing, read some scripture, pray a little bit. Guys, it's like, you say that to me, I'm not going to show up. Like, hey, we're going to make our little cappuccinos and we're going to talk about how we feel. Like,
Right.
no.
See, but
Well,
like
that's
that's
what
a
the
girl
church
thing. But
feels like.
personally, I also wouldn't love that. I'd like a more real and authentic experience. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. I mean, I'm clearly not a guy, so I would not be welcome in the guys group. But that doesn't fit for everyone. Not all of us are just fake niceties or just everything's okay. So what do you think that looks like?
I think he actually has a great example of what that looks like.
Yeah. What are you referring to?
The beach workouts.
Yeah, the beach workouts is one of them where,
How do you implement Christ into those?
so when I think about implementing Christ, I try to just show that in my life.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be friends with me or do life with me, you're going to see the Lord. I don't try to just like, all right, how do I implement him here? No, he's part of my whole life. I don't separate him. But some of the practical things that we do, at the beach is we start off with prayer.
Okay.
We have a workout. We have a word after, like a 5-10 minute encouragement word or whatever the Lord put on our heart. And we have moments to pray for guys, that need prayer, want to be heard. You said like, we do want to share our feelings, but not just at the coffee shop or cappuccino night, but we want to share it after we've
shown up as
Shown up.
strong
and
that
did something hard together.
yes.
When guys start doing something hard, like when they start playing sports or playing basketball, everyone before all that is just kind of like silent, quiet. But after the games go through, you start like hearing laughter, a lot more talking, things like that. So you don't have that in your regular church. You're just told to sit down. Like, you're sitting down and it's nice and it has its place,
Sure.
but there's no battle. There's no battle, which is hardwired, I believe, into every man. There's no quest or adventure or anything to fight for. It's already done. Here's your coffee. Here's your nice AC. Here's your cozy chair,
Now be quiet and listen.
quiet and listen
Yeah.
while the church, like this, we take care of everything for you. Everything's good. We don't require anything of you. We're going to give you everything that you need to be comfortable. Comfort is what grows us to be complacent,
Mm-hmm.
to not hone in our skills anymore, not be sharp. We get dull. You got to sharpen a knife. A knife that's not sharpened gets dull over time. And that's decadence, where the indulgence of luxurious comfort leads to that state that men may become dull. So I think implementing in a way in our churches is for men to get out of that comfort zone and do hard things together, because it's not set up kind of like the education system. So you have women leading a lot of the education system. So of course your son is not going to receive what is intended for him.
Right.
And and lots of boys are being diagnosed with like ADHD. It's because they're told to be still, shut up, be
Yep.
quiet, sit down in that desk. No, they need to let their energy out.
Yeah.
They need to like do hard things. But we do things, and we do the beach workouts, we do rucks, things like that, weighted vest carries. We go out and do hikes. Guys need to get out. They need to do stuff. They need to do stuff with other guys and see that they have what it takes.
I like that you said that. I actually think the number one killer of all male instinct is conformity.
Yeah.
In my younger son's school recently, there was a group of boys that were supposed to be outside in the hallway, and they all got in trouble for being loud, and I think one cursed. Like, this is high school, people, but okay. They got in trouble, and the guy who was the disciplinarian was what used to be one of the sports coaches. And to me, the most shocking thing was the conformity displayed by this man who used to be understanding that these boys needed an outlet, a physical outlet, and how he has, because of a job, and he needs his job, obviously, he let those boys get into trouble instead of providing them, hey, let's go for a walk. Come on, you guys are being loud. Let's go for a walk, 5 minutes. That would have been like the greatest thing that you could do, just get the boys out of their element, get them outside, but we're not doing that for boys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this conversation could go on forever, but in truth, I think that we have to start planting seeds,
Yeah.
allowing those seeds to take root, even in the rocky soil,
Yeah.
and helping young men form groups like this.
Yeah.
So at the end of each session, we do something called a we take, is what we take from our conversation. So basically for me, I got goosebumps a couple of times. Like, I got really, really, really happy by the message that you gave, because I didn't know you. And I didn't know you at all. But this has been a really enlightening and wonderful conversation.
So
like,
happy
you
to hear
had
that.
something really great to say, and it gives me hope, because I really, really want to help young men.
Yeah.
I don't really quite know why. I just feel like that's what I was supposed to do. And so I want to. And that does, when you have somebody who can give it with such a fervor and such truth, and displays obvious stoicism, but also classiness at the same time, it's nice to hear it.
Oh,
So thank you.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me and letting me talk.
Yeah. Did you take anything from this conversation?
I did. I love hearing this, knowing that there's women out there that want this, want men to rise up, because a lot of women want to take control, or be the leaders of the home, which sometimes they have to,
Sure.
because there is no father figure. But it encourages me knowing that women see the need too, and masculinity is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Male leadership is a good thing, so, and knowing that, honestly, just hearing that your sons, it sounds like they're doing pretty well, was very encouraging to hear, and that they have a relationship with the Lord, and that they're well outspoken. And I know that we can't control the cards that we're dealt with when we're born.
Yeah.
But you deal with those cards. You can't control how you start, but you can control how you finish. And I just know that your sons are going to have a good story.
Thank you.
They already have a good story. And I know they're going to continue to finish strong and be good fathers and be good husbands when that time comes.
Thank you for speaking that into them.
Yeah.
I agree.
I saw a video of a young boy, maybe 5 years old or 4 years old, with cancer, and it was a podcast with the father, and the father was like, why do you think God gave you cancer? And his response just had the dad in tears and had me in tears, because he said, God chose me to go through this so that other people wouldn't have to. And the father then follows up and says, but why are you happy? Everything is like bad for you. And again, I'm using, adult words, but this boy is saying it so simply. He's like 4 years old, 5 years old. And he just goes, I'm happy because even though I'm feeling pain, God gives me joy. And I think about your circumstance and how God has given you a heart to delight in seeing men be strong leaders and help other men do that. And I'm so thankful that God put you in that position because he knew what you could handle. And you are now positioning yourself to allow people like Kenny to speak on a topic that's important that can only be done through real conversations being had and men who are going to take action. And by his own story, you can see that he's a man who's doing that.
Yeah.
So you're watering fertile soil, in other words. I would say my we take was shifting my idea of what a men's group could look like for me. And I'll even tear down men's group, what walking with other men could look like. And really praying into what I could do that God has positioned me to have other guys run with me. Because the answer isn't a beach workout. The answer isn't black coffee and 6 a.m., right? But I love this quote I heard: women connect shoulder, like facing face to face.
Right.
Women connect shoulders facing one another. Men connect side by side,
Right.
meaning doing something together.
Mm.
So whatever that is, doing something allows us to focus on that. And then all of a sudden you hear emotions or things going
Yeah.
on in life. And that's just how we're wired. So I'm encouraged by what you said incredibly to think more of what that could look like.
Yeah.
Because it's not me that's going to change the world. It's not you and the beach workout that's going to change the world, but every person who steps up and says,
Yeah.
you know what, man, there's so much out there that is causing problems. Am I going to have any impact? And correct me if I'm wrong, Isaiah 60 or 61, God calls us men and believers to set the captives free. We are designed with the purpose to pursue Jesus and lead other people to him. And that's not a soft message to encourage people to submit and be comfortable, but actually to get uncomfortable and put yourself in a position where you can help
Yeah.
and where you can lead and where you might mess up along the way and hurt some feelings, but you're going to learn because you're going to the mountaintop. You're going to whatever it is, and you're not going to quit. You can't control the outcomes, but it's not about making sure everything's perfect along the way and
Right.
patting everyone's back. It's like, hey, we're going to go towards being strong men, leading our wives, loving them well, being tender with them, having our lives where we can be strong and masculine and do these things. Who's going with me? I don't know what's going to happen along the way. You coming?
That's the shenanigans.
They get shenanigans.
And guys love that. It's like, don't tell me. Don't tell me everything that's going to happen. I like, let's go. Where are we going? California?
Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah.
for encouraging me. That's my we take.
I love that. That's so good.
It's a good conversation. Thank you,
It
guys.
was.
It really does help. It helps me actually a lot, and it's fun. So
And, you know, the journey to the mountaintop is really where it's at. You know, it's like when you climb a mountain, it's you're not remember your biggest memory is not the top of the mountain. It's the challenge through
You're
the
right.
mountain, embracing that hardship together.
that's right.
You know, and God, I believe God turns what the enemy meant for evil into good.
Yeah.
So I don't think God's will for your life was for your husband or the kid's dad to leave them. I don't think that's God's plan.
No.
But he turns it around for good,
Yeah.
you know? And there's a learning process for that. And he does redeem the time. He does redeem the time. And things will play out the way he needs it to play out. So,
I trust that too.
yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely. We live in a fallen world.
Broken
So
world.
bad stuff happens.
Sure.
The enemy has a plan, God has a plan, but the enemy doesn't have the final say in our life ever. So we can't escape without getting wounded.
Yeah.
But we have the choice to be healed from those wounds. So
Amen. So thank you guys, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.